hours of Il Molino. A Soto just talking women and vino. The contract like 91 Dan Marino. I swear this got.
So it's the first day of 2020, and I'm going to talk about my favorite running gear for the year 2020. First off, we have my everyday trainers, Nike Air Zoom Vomero 14. I like these shoes a lot, mainly because they're good for distance and speed work on the track. I've been using them since the summer, and I did all my summer miles on them. I did cross country on them. I'm doing indoor track in them right now. I just like them a lot. I haven't had any injuries. They're very cushy, but they're also responsive when you want to go fast. Before this, I was using the Adidas Solar Glide, and I liked those, but these are a lot better for speed work than those were. So, my favorite trainer right now, Nike Air Zoom Vomero 14. Next up, we have my spikes. My cross-country spikes for the cross-country season were Nike Zoom Rival XC. They're a good cross-country spike. They have enough cushion, but they're also light, enough support. I really like them. I mean, I have no problems with them. They're a good shoe, durable enough. They're a little bit muddy from the season, but never had any issues. They're a really good spike. I can recommend them to everyone. Now for my track spikes. Currently I'm using the Nike Zoom D. It's a distance track spike, but it's also very light. There are heavier, more supportive distance spikes, which if you need more support, you should of course get those, but I use the Zoom D. They're incredibly light. They make the cross-country spikes feel heavy. They're so light, they have very little cushion though. So you're going to be on the balls of your feet for pretty much the whole time. So you got to make sure that your body your legs can handle that. So it's a good distance spike, Nike Zoom D. And for my final pair of shoes, I have the Hoka One One Aura Recovery Slides. Now obviously you don't need these. I just got them for Christmas, and they're the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. They're basically a Hoka sneaker, but in sandal form. After runs, I put these on my feet, and my feet feel way better. They're $50, which is relatively expensive for a pair of sandals, but if you want to use these as a recovery tool, it's absolutely worth the $50. So, most comfortable pair of shoes I own, Hoka Recovery Slides. My final pieces of apparel are my running hat and my running gloves. So for the winter, you want to have a quality pair of running gloves if you're somewhere where it gets cold. Cold hands, never a good thing. It's the most uncomfortable thing ever. So I currently have the North Face E-tip gloves. I mean, if you get a good pair of gloves, they'll last a while. They'll make your hands comfortable during the winter. They're really a worthy investment. These E-tip means that I can use my phone through the gloves, which is super nice, and it actually works. I didn't think it would. It actually works. And they're also thin enough that they don't get in the way and they dry out quick if they get wet. But they're also warm enough that my hands just don't get cold during workouts anymore. This is really important for the winter if you're somewhere where it gets cold. And then also for the winter, I have my running beanie. We won this from winning sectionals as a team. It's a really comfortable hat. It's good for running. I mean, if you're running where it gets cold and your ears get cold, I hate it when my ears get cold, so I wear a hat for most of the time. And this with the gloves, if you get hot, you can just take it off and hold it. It's really a worthy piece of gear to have for the winter. And during the summer, if my hair's long or if I'm sweaty, I like to have the hat, running hat, so my hair doesn't bounce around and it catches the sweat and everything. So I have the Nike Dry Fit hat. I mean, whatever kind of hat you want. I like this one because it's really thin and light material and it can dry out quick if it gets wet and it can get washed. I just like hats for the summers. I know some people who never wear hats and some people who always wear hats. Personal preference. I wear this most of the summer, but not for speed workouts. It's just personal preference, but I like my running hat. Next up is Trigger Point Foam Roller. This foam roller is really helpful for recovery. If after a workout and your legs are sore, you can use this and they'll feel better and you'll recover faster. It's really a win-win for your legs, and it's super small and light. It's really a simple way that you can help recovery and recover a lot faster. Another thing that's important for recovery is an ice pack. If you're having any injuries, ice packs can really help. I don't have one with me, but I mean, you can just take ice from your freezer and make one. Ice packs, I ice every day, even if it doesn't hurt. It's always a good thing to do. Next up, we have my running watch of choice right now. A running watch is important, especially if you're doing track work. You want to know what your splits are. So my GPS watch right now is the Garmin Forerunner 645. I just got it for Christmas last week. It's a really nice GPS watch. It's honestly overkill. I mean, you don't need, this tells you stuff like your race predictor and stuff. You don't need that. You can just go out and race and see how fast you're going to run. But I like to have all the stats, and the RD pod, Running Dynamics pod, gives me even more. It gives me stuff like vertical oscillation, which you really don't need unless you're trying to fix your form and you want to know the data. If you just want a basic GPS watch, I'd recommend the Garmin Forerunner 35 or Forerunner 45. They're both very good watches from Garmin. Garmin's GPS is so accurate, the heart rate's accurate, everything's accurate with it. And the 45 and 35 are low end, but they still have a lot of stats. They still have cadence. GPS watches are good, but if you don't want to shell out for a GPS watch, you can just get a basic stopwatch, basic watch. I mean, if you pay like $20, you'll have a watch that'll work forever, and you'll be able to just tell your splits and everything. And with these watches, another thing that's helpful for planning routes, if you're going to do a long run, you can use the Strava Routes feature, which allows you to pick a starting point, and then you can plot where you want to go on the roads around your house, and it'll tell you how far it is, how long it estimates it'll take you if you upload your runs to Strava. And that way, if you want to know how far you ran and you don't have a GPS watch, you can just plug it into Strava Routes and it'll tell you the exact distance. And then it's really helpful. Even if you do have a GPS watch, I use it to plan my long runs beforehand, so I know I'm not going to go way too far or way too short. It's really helpful. Strava as a platform is a really good platform for running. It allows you to analyze your workouts and everything. If I'm doing a long run, sometimes I want to listen to music or podcasts during it. Currently I use the AirPods for it, but I would recommend different earbuds. These get really sweaty. I would recommend something from Jaybird, which they have really high quality earbuds. I just use the AirPods because I have them. They're quick and they're convenient. When I used to run with an Apple Watch, they would just pair automatically and I could listen to my Apple Music. But I don't run with music a lot anymore. So if you want to get a pair of earbuds for running, I would recommend Jaybird. Next up, water bottle. Especially during school, I like to have a water bottle I can just sip on during the day, drink during lunch. That way you're hydrated and ready for your workouts and meets. A good reusable water bottle is always a good investment just for life. It's good. It saves the planet. No plastic bottle garbage, and also it keeps your water cold. I really like this bottle right here. I don't know what brand it is, but it's a good bottle. But any reusable water bottle is good. And finally, I have my two favorite running books. First, Running with the Buffaloes by Chris Lear. This is probably one of the best known running books of all time. It's about the University of Colorado men's cross country team 1998 season. It was a roller coaster season for them. It's a really good book. It gives you insight into how college athletes train. It gives you the coach's philosophy, Mark Wetmore. He's one of the most successful coaches of all time. It's a really good book. It gave me some habits that I picked up, and now I'm succeeding with them. And then, secondly is Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. This is the book that came out about 10 years ago and set off the barefoot running craze. Now, I don't agree with barefoot running necessarily, but this talks about the science of running a lot. And I find that stuff really interesting. It's also just a good book based on like the adventure part of it. I really like this book. It's one of my favorite running books along with Running with the Buffaloes. So I would recommend giving these 2 books a read. So that is favorite gear 2020. Feel free to leave what gear you use in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.